All right, so we're going this one here. This is our second time showing.
Do this again.
Sweet
Desolation Boulevard.
Yeah.
Signature album for them, probably their biggest ever.
Yeah, definitely biggest in the U.S.
Yeah.
And as we just, we're just doing this again because we screwed up the first take and had to do this one over again.
Yeah.
Just because this particular album, we put it in the wrong spot by accident.
Yeah, we put it way down at the bottom, and it wasn't supposed to. And then we realized like that was supposed to be much higher, which is like number 10, right?
Yeah.
So Desolation Boulevard, I've got the U.S. version. U.S. and the U.K. versions are almost completely different albums.
And we might need to get through it again. We must do it again. But
yeah.
The songs are just there's like 2 or 3 songs in common. And that's
and even one of those 3 songs is a different mix on each album. So on this one, you got Ballroom Blitz as the opener,
which is not even on here.
Huge song, not even on that one.
Was Ballroom Blitz on the second album? Help me out here. What's the name of the album we're not showing?
Sweet Fanny Adams.
Sweet Fanny Adams. Was Ballroom Blitz on Sweet Fanny Adams?
I don't think so, but it could.
Or was it might have been a single that they added to the album. Because they had a lot of singles at the time.
That's Scorpions and Sweets down there. If
That's
you want to grab it. It could have been. A lot of their songs between the U.S. and U.K. versions did kind of cross over. 16s is on both.
Yep. And it's a great song.
Yeah. Solid Gold Brass is on both.
Correct.
And Fox on the Run is on both. But as Scott was saying earlier,
this is a different version.
It's a different version than the one that you would have heard on U.S. radio that's on this one.
Right.
I mean,
and this one has a cover of The Who's My Generation.
Yep.
Breakdown, Solid Gold Brass, we said, Turn It Down, Medusa, and Lady Starlight.
None of those are on this one. This one has No You Don't, AC/DC, I Want to Be Committed, Sweet FA, Set Me Free, In Tonight.
And most of those were on Sweet Fanny Adams.
Right, so this is like we were talking about before, AC/DC. Their U.S. debut, High Voltage, was actually a compilation of their first 2 Australian releases, High Voltage and TNT.
Right.
This is kind of the same thing.
Exactly.
It's got parts of Desolation Boulevard, parts of Sweet Fanny Adams on it. I'm not sure if that's all. Maybe there's some other stuff in there. But Sweet's early catalog is really kind of confusing.
This was on RCA. It was released in '74. I'm not sure if the...
I think this is 75.
I'm almost positive the U.S. almost was released at the end of '74. I don't know. It says 75 on the back.
It's got 73, 4, and 5 publishing dates on here, which leads me even more to believe that it was a compilation.
Or it's just a different pressing. I'm not sure because anyhow, it doesn't matter.
This is on Capital EMI, which is
Beatles
label basically.
And this one was on RCA.
And this one has a song called AC/DC on. Coincidence? Like we were saying, the AC/DC connection.
Yeah.
Except AC/DC was probably just getting moving at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is not the teeny bopper.
No. This is hard rock,
pop rock stuff that they were known for before this.
And even before this, they had this weird calypso thing going on too. The earliest Sweet albums have got steel drums and crap. It's very, very weird.
Yeah, it was mostly outside songwriters. By this point, they were wanting to write their own songs and were writing their own songs.
And I think that's the Sweet album. That's what you're going to remember is Desolation Boulevard.
Now we're getting into some of the. Well, I don't know. I was to say heavier stuff, but
yeah, this is another crossover
album,
Big
just
time.
like Scorpions and UFO.
Yep.
Difference is the Scorpions and UFO were more doing the space rock, proggy thing, whereas Thin Lizzy were doing the
almost more folksy,
very
bluesy.
folksy, and very much Irish.
Yes,
Irish folk.
And Eric Bell, their original guitar player, extremely unique player.
Yes.
I can't think of anyone that
sounds
even remotely
that guy can
like
make
him.
could rip a solo.
And that early Thin Lizzy stuff, it's kind of an acquired taste, especially if you're a huge fan of the later stuff. But man, once you're into it, it's good.
It's good. That's the thing with me. I discovered, again, Thin Lizzy, I discovered them, 77, 78, in that area when I was a kid.
Jailbreak, Live and Dangerous.
And then I went backwards and then discovering, Vagabonds of the Western World and stuff like that.
And back then, those early albums, you couldn't find them anywhere.
But you find the compilations everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's where I kind of heard the old stuff and you're just like, wait, this is the same band?
I was like, this isn't Thin Lizzy.
Yeah. Because back then they were trying to do the power trio thing. They were trying, it was very much of Cream and Hendrix and all that kind of stuff.
Phil was huge into Hendrix.
And, Janis Joplin was another big influence on him.
Yeah.
So they were kind of trying to do that. Whereas here, they had 2 guitar players after Eric Bell quit the band.
Scott Gorham, Brian Robertson, which this was the beginning of that dual
guitar sound
that they became known for.
And I don't know if they had a influence that caused them to do that or not. The dual guitar thing.
Well, I know Wishbone Ash.
Wishbone Ash did it before, but I don't know.
Kind of influenced them, Iron Maiden.
Right.
I don't know if it was conscious or not. But
Yeah, I don't either. But yeah, I mean, I remember if you ever see the Behind the Music special, which it's funny, I just watched it the other day. The VH1 Behind the Music special on Thin Lizzy, Scott Gorham's like, yeah, I read a review that we had the patented Thin Lizzy guitar sound. He's like, he says I immediately had to call up the other guitar player and say, hey, Brian, did you know we had a patented guitar sound? So, but they really did. They really
beautiful
did.
cover. It's another Jim Fitzpatrick cover.
Great.
And this is the first appearance on the back cover of the classic Lizzy
logo.
logo. And you can see, look how young they are. There's still a lot of that Irish flavor on here, especially She Knows, Frankie Carroll, Dearheart.
But they were
Philomena.
But they were definitely moving into a new direction here.
Yes, because there's some heavier stuff like Sha-La-La.
Sha-La-La, which doesn't sound like it is, but it really is. But still has the romantic side, but still has the heavier stuff.
It's Only Money's another real great rocker.
And they had moved to the UK now at this point, so they were kind of pushing in towards that first wave of British heavy metal as well.
Yeah, but already a huge reputation as very hard partying band.
And very, very hard fighting band too, from what I understand. Yeah. You didn't say something bad about one of the other band members of Thin Lizzy to Thin Lizzy or any of their crew,
right? Because
you would not have a nose anymore. All right, so number 7, we're cranking through these.
Yeah, we are. Jeez, I want to talk about that one.
Well, I don't even like this cover.
I love this cover.
I like the original cover. And
okay. I thought you liked this one.
No, I like that cover.
This is so iconic. I wish they'd never changed it for anything.
And I don't know why.
It's beautiful.
I know why they changed it. I mean,
it's not metal enough.
It's not metal enough. This was an 80s re-release.
And there's even a third cover now that's even more metal looking. Yeah. Which I get it. You're trying to kind of graft it into the rest of the band's image, but this album is so good. I love this album. It's a favorite of mine.
But it's not Screaming for Vengeance.
Oh, hell no.
It's very different.
It's not even Sad Wings of Destiny.
No.
It's very, very different.
But the thing is, most of the songs from Sad Wings of Destiny, they had written at this time already. But for whatever reason, I remember reading a story about it. I don't remember if it was a book or what, but it was mostly producers and record companies are the ones who chose the songs.
Okay. Well, and sometimes back then, record companies had a lot more say.
But there is some hints of what would come on this album.
Oh, for sure.
Never Satisfied.
Yeah, sure. And Cheater.
Yep. But Winter, great.
Oh, that trilogy, Winter, Deep Freeze, Winter Retreat. Awesome.
Very cool. Very moody. Paints a very, I don't know, I want to say dark or cold atmosphere. I don't know.
Yeah, Deep Freeze, the guitar solo by Keke Downing, it's basically all feedback. I mean, even bands like St. Vitus later on tried to cop that. That kind of, it has that kind of a sound to it, like it's ice freezing or something.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant album. Original drummer John Hinch. Otherwise, it's all the original guys.
I think on the original pressing, it wasn't Bob Halford or Robert Halford or.
It is Bob Halford on this one. Because he was still long hair back then.
I don't hear it's Rob Halford. So, I said, this is a repressing now. It's not a terrible cover. I mean, if any other metal band would have put this out in 1981, I would have thought, oh, that's a cool cover.
Oh yeah, it's a cool cover for sure. But it's that simplicity of it. And when I first saw it, I was like, are you sure that's the same Judas Priest? And I was fascinated by it because it's like, this is just after Screaming for Vengeance that I heard this. And I fell in love with it. I loved this album. I still love it. But still, it's a great listen all the way through.
And there was another reason for the cover change too, was, I mean, you're basically tricking fans, hoping your fans are going to buy it again.
Yeah.
And well, it didn't. It worked. You got 2 copies.
But then it's those 2 early Priest albums that were on Gull Records and
they've been re-released and re-released and re-released a bazillion times with different names and as packages.
You've got Hero came out with both of them. You've got the live, but not the live one. The best of. Yeah, it has the 2 like samurai warriors on it, similar to this.
Which is mostly, which is again just a mixture of the first 2 albums, right? Even though it's called Best of.
And it's got like an interview on there or something.
Yep.
Good stuff. It's definitely, if you're a Priest fan and you really dig origins of bands, which I do, you'll love this.
Again, another first wave of British metal band.
Yep, for sure.
Quite a bit of that.
Yeah, people try to throw them into the new wave of British heavy metal, and it's just like, no.
Nope, they were far before that, nope.
Yeah. People try to do it with Motorhead, too, and it's like, if Motorhead was anything, they were the missing link between the first wave and the second one.
And Motorhead was, 78, 79 by the time they were really hitting their stride.
75 was the
But
first.
75 was the first album, which got shelved.
Right, and then 76.
77 was when the first
Was it
official
77?
album came out. Yeah.
Self-titled, and then 79 before the other.
So
two.
they were kind of on the cusp, on the edge. I mean,
But they just don't fit to me.
yeah.
But that's me.
I always kind of put them in the middle or with
Yep.
the new wave rather than, I don't know why, they kind of were in between.
I see them in between. I see them. They're like the crossover
Yeah,
band.
because the new wave of British heavy metal really was, most people consider it 79 through.
I usually call it 79 to 85.
Yeah.
Because that, to me, that was the last of it. Because it was no longer that do-it-yourself thing.
Yeah.
It had become standardized, and the bands that were successful at it, they got big, like Maiden and Def Leppard and Saxon. And their production values went so high up that it wasn't the same anymore.
Even Raven and
Yep.
even Venom.
Yep. Venom too. They were the biggest ones.
Yep.
And a lot of them are still going.
All right, so we are at number 7 and another twofer.
Whew.
Or a threefer.
I don't know. I might just lose my mind. These albums are so important to me. Probably my absolute favorite Queen albums. And this is, not even the seminal Night at the Opera. I love these two albums so much. The songs on them are so amazing. They were just really like parts of my life when I was big into Queen. Queen was like my second favorite band. After I was a freak about Kiss, and then I discovered Queen, they were the next band that I went freaky about. So these albums have been a part of my life for most of my life.
Yeah, same here.
And the songs on them just...
I love the first 3 albums, really, but...
Yeah, the first album is odd for them, but these two, they were really starting to hit the stride.
Yeah, and they're pretty damn heavy.
There's a lot of heavy stuff on here.
Yeah, pretty damn heavy.
We got Ogre Battle on here, which is pretty riff-intensive.
Brighton Rock.
Brighton Rock and Stone Cold Crazy
Yep.
are on this one. Huge hit with Killer Queen here. Not really any hits on this one. Seven Seas Awry tends to make it on greatest hits albums, but how successful it really was back then. But the whole album is so intelligent lyrically. That's the U.S. cover, and I believe this one is from Venezuela. It's actually the inside gatefold done as the outside cover, and there's a big theme of black and white on here anyway. White Queen, March of the Black Queen. They were kind of playing off those two themes on this one.
This is and Sheer Heart Attack's that one of those. Well, actually, Sheer Heart Attack wasn't even on here.
No, Sheer Heart Attack didn't get written until '77.
Yeah, which
So
is funny, but
that title had been around for a while.
yeah.
But there's some great stuff on here. Brighton Rock, like you were saying, a huge concert staple. Now I'm Here was a huge live one.
It gave the audience a chance to, up until We Will Rock You destroyed it and
Yep.
became the new audience
Oh,
staple.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. In the Lap of the Gods, there's an opening and a closing one. There's some great ballad work, Dear Friends on here, Lily of the Valley. Just, it has everything that everyone loves about Queen, like on Night at the Opera, all the diversity and the harder rock and stuff, but this one's not as well known because it wasn't as big of an album for them, and they were still very much...
And it's not quite as experimental. I mean, not
quite. But you take a
But
song
close.
like Bring Back That Leroy Brown,
Yeah.
that's full of like instruments from the vaudeville era and stuff like that. It's crazy. And if you really listen to it, it's quite technical. But it's great album. Great album. And I couldn't separate those two. We had to do them both together. So that's the number 7 slot.
Yeah, number 6.
This could easily been my number 1.
Yeah,
right
Randy's
now.
been in a Blue Oyster Cult kick for the last...
Huge Blister Cult kick. And I think last weekend on Sunday I played this album on repeat all day. I just couldn't get enough of it. It's of the first 3 or 4 Blue Oyster Cults, including that live one they had. This is probably my favorite. I think they were really starting to hit stride with their stronger songwriting.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is like... Again, to me, this almost reads, especially side 1, almost reads like the greatest hits
Yeah.
album with Career of Evil,
Which was they worked with Patti Smith. She wrote the vocals on that one.
Subhuman, and Dominance and Submission is just
Great rocker.
yeah. ME 262.
Which is a type of plane. They're singing. They always had a
Yeah.
weird point of view on stuff.
Keggy Cretans, Harvester of Eyes,
Great song.
Flaming Telepaths, and
Astronomy.
of course Astronomy.
Those last two are my favorites.
I mean,
Flaming
it's
Telepath's one
a-
of my favorite cuts.
It's a brilliant album, but it's not heavy metal.
No, of course not.
Here, can you piss on this for me? 'Cause
I
this-
will. Oh, now it's got a brilliant little yellow tint to it since I pissed on it. Now it's okay for us to call
Sorry.
it hard or heavy.
I've always considered Blister Cult one of the first wave of American heavy metal bands.
And it's funny because the symbol, the Chronos symbol, it actually is a symbol for like lead, which is one of the heaviest metals, and it was totally on purpose that they did it that way.
I thought it was because they were questioning God.
That's such bullshit. It's the cross of questioning. No, it's not.
No, it's the Chronos symbol because it was.
It's a symbol of the planet Saturn.
Yes.
It's an alchemical symbol, I believe, for lead or something, but it's not the cross of questioning. It's and that, you know, you hear that kind of shit when you're little. You don't know if it's true or not, so it puts this doubt in your head, like.
All right, number 5.
I hate that shit.
No one's gonna be surprised to see this. I think it's number 5. No one's gonna be surprised to see this one on my list.
Yeah.
Amboy Dukes. This is actually
Ted Nugent's Amboy Dukes.
It's Ted Nugent's Amboy Dukes.
It
For
really
a while it was
wasn't-
the Amboy Dukes, then it was Ted Nugent and the Amboy Dukes.
But by this point,
time, it's pretty much Ted Nugent.
who's even still in the band?
I don't think
wasn't
there's
the Amboy
any
Dukes?
original members left in the band.
So this
but
is,
there is Rob Grange, who went on, of course, to play with
right.
Nugent for
this
years.
This is really Ted's first solo
album. But it's very similar in style to Ted's first solo album.
Mm-hmm.
It has that same diversity. It's got the heavier tracks like Hibernation, which is just a guitar wank instrumental.
Great White Buffalo's on here.
Great White Buffalo,
version.
yep. And then you got songs like Maybelline, Chuck Berry.
Yep. Which Ted was unabashedly influenced
of course.
by Chuck Berry.
I mean, he played a big hollow body guitar.
He loved Chuck Berry.
Yeah. I mean, he was the heavy metal Chuck Berry. That's what he pretty much was. So, Free Flight, Lady Luck, total groove song going on there. That kind of that Motown thing he was really into as well.
Living in the Woods, which is more of just the lifestyle that he had and continues to practice. He's very much into nature and the natural stuff, even though he kills and eats those types of things. He's much more in line with like Native American type respect for nature.
And a very odd cover, and this is digitally enhanced. I say digitally, it's not digital, but it was.
Oh yeah, it's a bizarre cover.
I mean, this would be easy to do now, but I can't imagine how difficult this must have been to do back in the day.
It's like
it's not him wearing makeup and stuff like that.
No, it's
superimposed a photo of something on top of him.
I don't know, if it's a cheetah or some kind of a lion or something.
Yeah, but
tooth, fang, and claw, and they made little fangs on there.
And there's a classic shot on the back of Nugent just wailing with a bunch of
he's
the wall.
He's just kind of coming out of the hippie kind of look to the one, the Motor City Madman.
Yeah, he's got the loin thing going on here, but he's actually wearing red spandex.
Yeah, he's
a little early on the spandex.
He's not nude, just shy of nude with the loincloth. He's still kind of dressed.
And this actual jacket that he's wearing right here, I actually got to hold and wear that jacket. Well, sort of. I could not fit that thing around me. It was he was so thin then.
Oh yeah, he was.
But yeah, my friend who had all the Nugent stuff, he owned that jacket and the boots from this.
No way. How do you get crap like that
from the Nugent family?
Jeez.
Yeah. Anyhow, it was all it was leather. It was very brittle from years of sweat and stuff like that. But
I'm sure
he let me actually take it off of the mannequin and hold it. And he's like, "You should put it on." I'm like, "I'm gonna Hulk through this thing." If I
you're a little bit heftier than Ted was. So you were kind of buff there, buddy.
Let's see. We're on number 4. Could have been number 1.
We're in our top 5. We
could have been number 1.
It could have been number 1. This is a friggin' brilliant album.
Really, these last 4, they're all interchangeable for me. These all ruled my life for a long time.
Yep.
But
Burn.
Another one from the first wave, European.
Now, Deep Purple Mark III with David Coverdale at the mic and Glenn Hughes on bass was the first lineup I heard. The very first song was a live version of Burn from Made in Europe. So I've always had a soft spot for this era of Purple. This album is solid all the way through. There's not a song on it I don't like. The vocals are amazing.
Amazing.
The interplay between Coverdale and Hughes has such a massive voice.
I really think
riffs
that they Coverdale and Hughes really invigorated the band.
Oh
because,
man!
I mean, I love Gillan. Don't get me wrong, but they were kind of on a downward spiral.
And Gillan was the only voice. I mean, now they got 2 powerhouse singers in the band, and it really did invigorate the band. And to take it even further, when Ritchie Blackmore left, the Come Taste the Band album, it just played on that even more.
Yeah.
So it really, it was not This was not a like, oh, this is the best of what's left. This is still a very, very vital band.
Very, very good album, and yet it still sounds like if you would have put Ian Gillan on vocals in this album, he still would have fit. It still sounds like it's still
absolutely
classic
Deep Purple.
70s Deep Purple.
Yep.
So I always talk about the California Jam was the very first one was it Black Sabbath and
Rainbow.
And
No, it was Deep Purple.
Deep Purple.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was this again. That was the first
that would
wave.
have been
That was
72.
those were the big bands calling bringing in the U.S. even
Yep.
What was it, 30,000 people for the California Jam 1?
Yeah.
But it was soon to be overtaken by the American bands.
Yeah.
And then they'd have California Jam 2, and instead of all these European bands, it ended up being all American bands. So.
Yeah. And what a cool cover. I mean,
I always like the cover.
We've
too.
got custom
And the back
candles.
cover.
Yeah, custom candles of each of the band's faces. Like who knows who even did that? And then on the back they've burned out, and you've got the silhouettes of like actual photos of the bands hovering above it like smoke. Really cool. I mean, great artwork. Let's see who did it.
Even the bird logo is classic.
Nesbitt, Phipps, and Froome, and the photography was Finn Costello. Finn Costello is a well-known photographer.
Nesbitt?
I am Mrs. Nesbitt.
Yep.
The candles are copyright Candlemakers Supplies, P.O. Box 816, London. So
Let's write to them, see if we can get some.
they
of
were
those.
custom. That would be so cool to have that. They could sell a few of those.
I bet
for
they
sure.
could. But yeah, I've always even thought the Burn logo
Yeah,
was
the Burn
classic.
logo was
It's funny that
awesome.
the Burn logo is bigger than the Deep Purple's all little.
It is.
That would not fly on a band, an unknown band.
No.
It was just because they were so big at the time.
Oh, you know that band Burn?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what it looks like. It looks like the album's called
It
Deep
does.
Purple by a band called Burn.
It does.
All
You gotta
right.
be careful with stuff like that.
Again, we got another twofer easily. Again,
Yeah, we couldn't separate these. We couldn't. They're both so,
We almost considered taking one of them off just so we wouldn't have two.
but we couldn't.
Yeah. So
Kiss.
Kiss, the
And
American
Hotter
way,
Than
like I
Hell.
said. Now, in my opinion, actually, we're talking about the next video of doing a Kiss video, so we may be arguing
might.
about some of these, but
Makeup years.
Makeup years, yeah. For me, I mean, I know most people consider this one of their best.
The
and
original
I love
Makeup years.
but I think I like this one better.
Oh, I totally prefer Hotter Than Hell to this one.
Yeah.
The first three albums have always been funny for me because I got into Alive first. So when I heard these versions, I was like, well, those are kind of weak.
Yeah, they didn't have the same. It was weaker. It didn't have the same
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah, and I mean, had I heard these first, it might be different. But these albums have always been special to me as well because first time I heard them was that original 3-album set. And to me, they've always just gone together, these two and Dress to Kill.
Yeah.
But if I had to just really break it down, as far as with the deeper cuts, this one's got more. that I
Strange
prefer.
Ways and Mainline.
Yep, and Going Blind.
And Going Blind. How are those songs not on every Kiss set? I mean, they're just
It's
so
freaking
great.
awesome.
And then you've got great songs like Got to Choose.
All the way.
And Let Me Go Rock and Roll, which is in all their sets. And it's a great song, but I don't think it's even the best song on the album.
But it's not even close to the version on Alive. The
Yeah.
version on Alive is so freaking cool.
So,
But this one,
yeah.
I always was fascinated with Kissin' Time, which wasn't even on the original playlist of this album. I thought, and I've heard the original, it's a cover of a Bobby Rydell tune. I've heard the original, I was like, wow, they really did a lot with that. Their version is so much better, and I know a lot of people probably think it sucks, but the best thing to me on here, probably Black Diamond. The original version that has that, the tempo slowing at the end.
ending. Yeah, that's awesome.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And then if you look really closely at the back, don't look too closely. There's a booby.
There's a nipple that is covered with a black star.
Oh, I thought that was the nipple. Especially the star nipple.
Oh, some women are born with astral nipples, I heard.
Could be.
And I always love this thing too. This very Japanese kind of motif going
Was
on
it
here.
Kubaki or is that a Kubaki?
No, I can't
I
think.
can't think of it
It's
either.
Kabuki.
Kabuki, that's it, yeah.
They combine all the band members' makeup. For some reason, Kiss was very well received in Japan because of that type of.
Yeah. But at that point, when this album came out, it wasn't even released in Japan yet.
No,
This album wasn't released in Japan until years later.
and it's got you can see fingers on the back, kind of like holding the record, and thumbs on the front, which is a direct kind of ripoff of a Beatles album. It was a Beatles compilation called Rock and Roll.
And they were a huge
Oh, yeah.
influence on the band, especially on Gene Simmons.
Gene.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure.
Absolutely. And Ace Frehley's sound just shined on this album.
It is. I mean, the production of all three of these is kind of lacking, but
I kind of appreciate the lacking the production now.
But I think they produced it themselves.
I call
didn't
it no.
No, Kenny Kerner and Witchy Wise.
Yeah, I kind of call it an earthy production. It's
It
not
is.
super clean. It's not over polished. It's really just. It's probably more live than alive.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. Based on the fact that they
I had to re-record a lot of stuff.
and I have the version of this without kissing time too.
Yeah, I think you do. I just grabbed the one.
Okay.
All right, where are we at? Number 2.
Number 2 already.
Number 2.
This is one of the highest spots that this band has ever taken in our videos.
No.
They
They took the number 1 once.
but every other year,
Yeah.
usually they're a lot lower on our list.
Yep. One year they were number 1.
Twice.
Twice.
I think Back in Black and Highway to Hell.
Yep.
We both did number 1 or number 2. I don't remember. But High Voltage. This is the debut AC/DC album.
Right, 74.
This is the Australian.
And
High Voltage.
I admit, 74, I had no idea who they were. I
hell
didn't
no.
hear this album.
No.
Knew nothing of them. I didn't even know until maybe, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago that the American version was all that different from this version.
Yeah, I remember seeing right after getting into AC/DC after Back in Black, like most kids did my age. And the ones who decided, hey, I hear they were out before, let's go check out their old stuff. You know, we found High Voltage, we found the American versions of Let There Be Rock and Power Age and Highway to Hell and all that. And, you know, the rest is kind of history. But then I started seeing these import albums like TNT by AC/DC.
What's that?
Album? What's that?
Right.
I didn't even find out about this one until many years later. TNT was available on import, like you could order it out of the back of Circus or Hit Parade or magazine, along with Live at Last by Black Sabbath. And just thinking, oh, we got some rarities here. Cool. Little did we know there's even more.
Yeah. But there's a lot of songs that didn't make it onto the U.S. one. Maybe Please Don't Go didn't make it.
Nope. That ended up being on Jailbreak 74.
Who wrote that song? I love that song.
That's an old standard.
Yeah, and I know, let's see, Ted Nugent's done it, Aerosmith's done it.
Van Morrison did it with them, which their version and Ted Nugent's are actually really similar. But it's an old Bidwill Brunsey song.
And I love AC. I love Ted Nugent's the best.
Yeah.
It's just bombastic. But this version is probably my second favorite.
That one, I believe it made it onto 74 Jailbreak, didn't
Yes,
it?
it did.
Okay. She's Got Balls, Little Lover was made onto the American one. Stick Around. Some of the songs did not make it on 74 Jailbreak. I don't know why.
I don't either. They made it on later, rarity compilations and stuff. But
Stick Around, Soul Stripper, You Ain't Got a Hold on Me, Love Song, and Show Business. Really, there's only 2 songs on here that made it
onto the U.S. version.
Onto the U.S. version. The rest
The U.S.
of these,
version is TNT plus 2 songs. Yeah.
Yeah, basically without the Chuck Berry song.
Right.
So this is a really different High Voltage. This is still AC/DC in their formative years in sound.
I remember they were being accused of being a punk band back then.
And of being all homosexual and stuff, because AC/DC, that's what it meant back then.
Yeah.
or bisexual.
And what it really was all about electricity.
Yeah, and I think it was an iron that actually
I thought it was a washing machine, but it was
something.
some appliance. Yeah.
That it said AC/DC on it, and Angus or Malcolm or whoever.
Okay, this is going to be a big shocker to anybody who knows me to think that this might actually be a number 1.
Aerosmith.
Get Your Wings.
Yeah, this was kind of an easy choice for number 1.
It was for me. This
Very strong album.
Not the first Aerosmith album I heard. That would have been Toys in the Attic, and then I heard this one after. And
first one I heard, probably Dream On was the first. It was either Dream On or Back in the Saddle was the first song that I heard on the radio.
It was around 75, 76. That was when I first started hearing all these songs, and I was in grade school. And so this was 74 is a little early for me.
Get Your Wings was I need to go check out the older Aerosmith. Yep. And this one is full of deeper cuts that are just
and they're
awesome.
great deeper cuts, like Spaced. Love Spaced.
Seasons
of the World.
My personal favorite.
Train Kept Rolling, which most people don't know was not Joe Perry on the lead guitar.
Oh, it wasn't?
No, it was not. It was Dick Wagner.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Huh. And obviously that tune had already been covered by the Yardbirds, and it wasn't even their tune, but Steven Tyler was a roadie for the Yardbirds in the later days, and probably that's part of where the...
and they were huge fans of the Yardbirds, and Zeppelin, of course.
Yeah.
So anyhow, but I mean, few people deny that Aerosmith version of Train Kept Rolling is one of the best.
Pretty awesome. Yep.
Yeah. Especially that all that guitar stuff at the end.
Yep.
But yeah, Dick Wagner played on it. It was Jack Douglas who produced this, and most of the 70 albums, stuff. Not the first one, but a lot of the ones after it.
Yeah.
He brought in to get this what he wanted for that song. Yep.
So this we've got the original pressing, which has the more.
It's got actually a PMS gold ink, so it's a 5-color pressing, which is odd.
So the title's orange and the wings came out gold. This one is it's got less colors in it. That's why you get the pink and the
it's a 4-color. It's a 4-color process, whereas this one is a 5-color process. So you got 4-color ink, and then you've got a PMS gold, which gives it that sheen. What a metallic ink is, it has a little flexibility in it. It gives it that reflection. And that's what you got going on here, which is odd that they would do that for an album that was by an unknown band, at the time, especially in '74 when.
And this is the only time you're going to see this particular Aerosmith logo making a.
And I love that Aerosmith logo. With
I do too. I do too. It's great. I love that old one, but it morphed into something very cool.
Yeah,
obviously,
and it's still morphing to this day.
Yeah.
The Aerosmith wings, you still see it.
Yeah, number one, and it's got bat wings instead of bird wings, so it's a little bit different, a little bit darker.
It's got kind of I always thought this kind of looked like an Addams Family or Munsters A.
And I always thought the circle looked like it was an egg.
But the big song on here, it wasn't actually that big at the time, but it became
Same Old Song
and Dance.
Yeah.
It actually, I think it became a hit because of Greatest Hits.
Yeah, and that one is actually an edited version. This one's got the original full-length intro. But every song here is great. Most of them are deeper cuts. Lord of the Thighs was a live staple for years. Spaced. Never heard much about that one, but it's a great tune. Woman of the World. SOS Too Bad I love that tune. Great song. Train Kept Rolling, Seasons of Wither, and Pandora's Box.
Yep.
Great album. Early Aerosmith, there's nothing quite like it. Those first 2 albums, there's a rawness about them that with Toys in the Attic, that it started getting more refined and obviously more successful. These first 2 Aerosmith albums are real special.
Again, I think they're like the Kiss albums. I was saying they're more earthy. It's the recording. It's the recordings are they're more live sounding. They're not layers and layers and layers of overdubs. Whereas, which is what became more and more popular, especially when you got to the '80s. But here it's got more of an earthy sound. More just put this band of 5 guys in the studio, record them live, and that's kind of what you're getting here. I mean, it's not, but that's kind of what you're getting.
Yeah, I can see that, and it's the same era. Really.
Yeah.
Great album. Whether you like Aerosmith a little or a lot, I would say if you don't know this one, go and investigate it further because it's really got some good stuff.
You know what's sad is if this album would have come out like in the 90s or today, Aerosmith would have been dead in a second.
That's what I was saying before. This is back when labels would foster bands and build them instead of you have to be a hit machine right now because it's about millions and billions. And
so instead, they put their money into the band. They built the band. And what did they create? They created one of the biggest. They literally were one of the biggest bands to come out of the 70s.
They invested in them.
Yep, it was them and Kiss were the big competitors in American hard rock and heavy metal in the late 70s. It was the 2 of them. They were the 2 biggest ones.
Nugent was up there too.
Nugent was the biggest one of the biggest selling concert acts in the 70s.
Yeah.
But his album sales didn't see the same sales as Aerosmith.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
He was a concert machine, and that's why
he toured constantly.
And that's why, and he was actually Lever Krebs the whole, So that's why you kept seeing Nugent on tour with bands like Aerosmith, and with Kiss, and with all these different bands because they were trying to get his album sales to come up to match his concert draw.
Right.
Which it finally did in '78 when they put out Cat Scratch Fever.
Oh yeah, and based on the success of that single alone.
Right. Then his back catalog started selling as well.
Yeah, that totally broke him.
And then
not that was his greatest song, but geez.
No, but it was a single.
And then Double Live Gonzo.
I remember hearing I think it was one of the 2 Lever Krebs. They were like, before Cat Scratch Fever came out, and Ted Nugent announced at a live concert, he goes, "I'm gonna play a brand new song for you," and he played Cat Scratch Fever, and he goes, "Oh, thank God, he finally wrote a single."
But to me, it's just like, really? Cat Scratch Fever is not one of his better tunes, in my estimation.
It's that riff.
I'd rather hear...
It's that catchy riff.
I'd rather hear Just What the Doctor Ordered, or friggin' anything off Double... or Gonzo, or Yank Me Crank Me.
Free For All. Yeah, but regardless.
Hey, we're talking about Nugent while we're showing Aerosmith albums. That's weird.
That's it. We did it.
That's it. That was pretty fast.
I don't know how long it was, but that's probably the shortest one we ever did, and we purposely did that, so we did a pretty good job.
It's 4 o'clock. I would say that didn't take us more than 2 hours.
That's pretty awesome, considering we usually take about 6.
Super.
I have to usually edit it like crazy, but
yeah.
Anyhow, I appreciate y'all watching.
Yeah.
So, like I said, hopefully we'll have time to do one more video this weekend.
We will. We got all day tomorrow too. We're going to try and hit a show tonight, so I'm hoping.
Anyhow.
But is there anything we need to plug?
No, that's it.
Don't you want to plug Ben?
Ben? Oh, yeah, well, Unlimited Vinyl Run. I've been showing them on other videos so people know about them. But
Okay, well, Stone Groove Records, we recently signed, this is the first time I'm announcing it, Memory Driven from Oklahoma, featuring Dennis Cornelius, who did stints, I should say, multiple stints with Revelation, Place of Skulls, Oversoul, and Under the Sun. We're going to be putting out their new album.
it's very much like traditional doom style, right?
Very traditional doom, very unique vocals. I think you guys are going to really dig this new album they got coming out.
So if you like Place of Skulls or Pentagram or
you're gonna
Saint
love
Vitus,
this stuff.
that
You're
kind
gonna
of stuff,
love
yeah.
this stuff. And the first two albums they did are very good as well. This new one, it's super heavy, and check it out when you get a chance. It's very well done.
I'll try to remember to put a link above, below, somewhere so you guys click on Stone Groove Records. So
Yeah.
anyhow, that's it for myself, and
Drog.
God bless.
See
Stay
ya.
strong.